Hi everybody, hope you're well. In this video I'm going to be talking about the use of your horse's daily time in game. So there are a couple of different forms of time on a horse. I'm just going to talk about one in particular today, which is going to be your individual horse's time. So each horse that you have has a time, and it'll be displayed here, as you can see, and it'll also be displayed in the history. So every horse in the game wakes up at 8 AM, every specific horse. But there is an exception to this rule, and I'm just going to quickly mention it. So this horse here has a Nix pack. Now, the thing with the Nix pack is it allows it to wake up at 6 AM, so that you have more hours in the day to do more things. So that is just the exception to that rule. But coming back to the regular horse, just the regular horse without the Nix pack, doesn't have a Nix pack on this one, it wakes up at 8 o'clock. And each of the actions that you do with your horse influences the time. And if you hover over your horse, you can see. So if I just hover over groom, it says 30 minutes. Now if I click groom, it's now 8:30. If I give it a carrot, it's telling me it's going to take 15 minutes, so I do that. Now it's 1:45. And even all these other actions, such as rides. Like if I choose to do 30 minutes of rides, then that adds on 30 minutes of rides. So here, we're going to give it a drink. So now it's 9:30. And we'll also give it a stroke. Now, these ones don't change, so the stroke and the drink and the carrot and the groom and the mash, for example. And neither does feed. So if I decide to feed 20 kilos and 15 kilos of oats as well, or sorry, 20 kilos of fodder and 15 kilos of oats, still takes 30 minutes. If I decided to feed it 1 kilo of oats and 2 fodder, it's always going to be 30 minutes for feed. So I could feed it twice. So I could feed it, I could feed once. And there we go, it's 10:30. We could decide to feed again. And it's going to take another 30 minutes. Now it's 11 o'clock. So those are fixed times. But as I said, things like training, rides aren't fixed. You're choosing the duration. And obviously that's going to cost more energy to do. So I'm just going to quickly put a saddle blanket on this horse so I can show you what happens whenever we do competitions. So if you hover over competitions, they're all fixed as well. You can see that they're all fixed as 2 hours. So if we click on one of those, we enter one of those. Doesn't matter if the difficulty is different, it's still 2 hours. So you can click on those. Now there's one thing to be very, very careful of. And the reason I say this is because if you don't take proper attention to the time on your horse, you can have negative implications of that. So I'm going to show you what I mean by that. So let's get this horse to do a few more things, and then it's now 10 o'clock. Now 10 o'clock is the time that you should leave it and let it go to the next day or age it once, and it'll wake up and it'll be quite content and happy. 10 o'clock is the time that your horse should go to bed, no later. Now watch what happens whenever I take it over that. So if I just do another 30 minutes, you can see the text has now gone red. This is basically a warning. This is telling me this isn't good. So I'm just going to keep feeding, and I'm going to show you what happens when we get to midnight. So whenever you hit midnight, it doesn't matter what you try to do, you will get this. You cannot perform the action you requested because your horse must go to bed at midnight at the latest. So once you hit midnight, you can't do anything after that when you hit that 24 hours. So you can work your horse after 10 PM, but the problem with doing that, and I'm going to show you this now. So this horse, it's warning me in my history, your horse is less than 15% of energy, it won't be in good shape tomorrow. Now obviously that's going to have an implication as well. I'm just going to note that. It's also going to take into consideration the fact that he's also gone to bed really late. So I'm just going to quickly age it. I'm going to show you what I mean. So you can see the first problem is he slept less than 10 hours. Your horse's energy and morale have gone down. And then I had the added implication that I didn't make sure the health or the energy was over 20%. And then that has also had another knock-on effect. And you can see that's caused him to lose morale, health and energy. Now if I had fed him enough and he'd been over 20% energy and I had let him go into the next day, potentially he wouldn't have lost health. So let's just carry him back up to 100%. And I'm going to quickly show you again what would happen if I get him to do after 10 o'clock and I do make sure that his health is over what it should be. So I'm just going to keep feeding him, and I'll show you what this does. So we're going to make sure that we get him well past the time that he should go to bed. So we're going to try and get him up to 10 or after. And then you'll see. So I'm just checking the energy that I'm going to receive. So I'm going to stroke now and I'm going to give him a drink. And you can see he's on 44. So what I'll do is I'll just take him on a ride. And then I'll take him on another. So now he's over the time, but he has more than 20% energy. I'll age him and I'll show you what happens. So he's lost morale and energy when he's woken up. It's told me this here as well. So time is very important on the game. And obviously time plus, for example, as I showed you, taking the horse into under 20% energy and then aging on, that's caused a knock-on effect as well. So time is a very important thing to keep in mind when you're working with your horses. And obviously there are other aspects of time on horses. This is just one of them, and I just wanted to try and cover that today and hopefully not overly complicate it. So anyway guys, I hope you have a lovely day.